Hello everyone, welcome to this presentation. In this talk I will give you an overview of Telosys. What is it, how it works, and how you can use it to boost your projects. First, what is Telosys? Telosys is a very light and simple tool written in Java. It is designed to generate any type of source code, and you can use it to boost your project. Bootstrapping is a typical use case for Telosys. Telosys was created to solve the problems usually encountered with code generation, because very often code generators are heavy and complicated, difficult to set up and difficult to use. Many code generators behave like a black box. They produce code that does not correspond to expectations, and it is difficult, sometimes impossible, to modify their behavior to obtain exactly what we want. Another point is that the tooling can also impose its own choices in the generated code. For example, some frameworks or code style or patterns and so on. So it can be very intrusive. The Telosys approach is different. Telosys is light, simple, and it is fully customizable by design. Indeed, you can customize not only the model, of course, but also the project configuration and above all the templates. Templates customization is mandatory to be able to fit specific needs. It is thanks to this personalization that you can obtain exactly what you want. The Telosys key points are the following points. Telosys is light, simple, and easy to use, so you can start using it very quickly, and the learning curve is very short. Telosys is also completely independent from any IDE, and if you want, you can use it with just a simple and basic text editor. Obviously, Telosys is free and Telosys is open source. There is no vendor lock-in. You can install it, use it, and finally drop it if you want. It's not a long-term choice. You can consider Telosys as a disposable tool. And last but not least, adaptability and flexibility are also very important points because they allow Telosys to be used in many use cases. So what about Telosys flexibility? As mentioned previously, Telosys is able to generate any type of code. And that requires a great adaptability and extensibility in order to be able to provide a solution for unexpected situation if needed. The principle is you decide, you make your own choices, and Telosys adapts. Each project having its own needs regarding the design of the entities, Telosys provides extension capabilities at model level. It provides more than 50 standard annotations for all standard needs, but it also allows to enrich the design of the entities with a system of specific tags. The templates are also fully customizable. They are based on the Velocity templating engine, so it's quite easy to adapt the templates file. Another important point is to be able to manage composite primary keys. Although in general we try to avoid them, composite primary keys are sometimes an imposed constraint, for example for database partitioning or when using a legacy database. And composite primary keys are natively supported by Telosys since the beginning of the tool. So now let's look at the Telosys model. A model contains all the entities definition for the current project. In Telosys, a model is just a directory containing one .entity file for each entity. An entity file is just a text file editable with any text editor, and an entity is described with a very simple grammar. This grammar is defined by the Telosys domain-specific language. Here is an example entity, and as you can see, an entity is composed of attributes and links. Each attribute or link has a name and a type. The type is a neutral type. It means that this is a type independent from any programming language. It is used only to design the model, and it will be converted to the target language type at generation time. To enrich the design, you can use annotations. An annotation is a keyword starting by the @ character, and currently there are more than 50 annotations. For example, @id is used to define the entity identifier. That is the primary key if you use a relational database. And for a composite primary key, you just have to set @id on several attributes. You can also use @default value to define the default value, @size to define the maximum size, and so on. And to be able to adapt to all special cases, you can also use the tags. And the tag is a user-defined information. So you can use any word starting by the sharp character, and if necessary, a tag can contain a value enclosed in parentheses. And now I will show you an example of a model in a basic text editor. Okay, so this is my Notepad++ editor, and I am here in a Telosys project with the Telosys tools directory containing the project configuration, the Telosys tools CFG. In this file, I can define the source folders where to generate the code with source, resources, web, etc. Can define the root package and also a lot of specific variables, for example, the project name, project title, Git repository, framework version, etc. And here I have all the models, all the templates, and in the models I have employees model, orders model with the model description. Here it's a YAML file, catalog entity, that is an aggregate root mapped on the tCatalog table, category entity, and for example, order entity with the ID, the primary key. I have here a foreign key. This field is a foreign key pointing to the customer entity. And here two links. The first link is one-to-many with a collection of order items. And this link is a many-to-one link. And now, if I open the Telosys CLI tool, I have here my two models. I can select model orders. I can list entities. And if I want to check the model consistency, I have the check model command. And the model is OK, ready to use. OK, so now we have a model. And the model is the declarative part for the generator. And this unique model can be used to generate any type of source code, for example, Java, PHP, Python, SQL scripts, etc. And to do this, the generator requires templates. A template defines what we want to generate from the model and how it will be generated. It contains the processing part of the generation. The templates will be applied to the model entities to generate the expected code. Each template is specialized to generate a certain type of file. For example, we can create a set of templates to generate a persistence layer in Java, or another set of templates to generate a web application in Python. So now it's time to dive in the template files. Here is a piece of code extracted from a template file. And as mentioned previously, Telosys uses Velocity as a template engine. So the language used in the template file is VTL. And VTL is a Velocity template language. In this example, the words in red are Velocity keywords. For example, for each and end to iterate on all attributes. And the words in blue are Telosys objects coming from the model or from the project configuration. Velocity is a well-known product with good documentation, so it's easy to understand this kind of language and thus to create new templates or adapt existing templates. And the Velocity language has been enriched with Velocity utility functions and objects in order to meet certain recurring needs. In a real project, after a while, you have to manage multiple templates to cover the different parts of the project. So to facilitate the management of templates, they are organized in bundles. Usually, a bundle contains a set of templates dedicated to generate a specific part of the application. For example, you can have one bundle for the REST API and another bundle for the domain objects or for the persistence or for the automated test and so on. Each bundle of templates is usually stored in a Git repository, and some examples of bundles are available on GitHub, and they can be installed automatically by Telosys. So now to illustrate the templates and the generation principle, let's see a real example. So here we are still in Notepad++ editor, and this time we will dive in the templates folder, and in this folder we have one folder for each bundle. So I have here 7 bundles, and this set of bundles is designed to generate Java applications. So I have a bundle here to generate the Maven project structure, another one to generate plant2ml diagram. This is for the domain, the persistence with MyBatis, etc. So let's have a look in the domain. And for example, here we have the template for generating a parent Java class. And we can see, for example, if condition here, set variable initialization, for each. Here, this portion of code is Java comment with the author. Here is a global variable defined in the project configuration. We have here the name for the current entity, and we can iterate on each attribute defined for this entity, create getters and setters, and so on. The bundles are designed to generate Java applications, so we are now in IntelliJ with the basic structure for the project, multi-module Maven project. And as Telosys is a basic CLI tool, we can use it directly in the IntelliJ terminal. So if I list my bundle, I have different bundles available. I will select the domain bundle with some templates in it, and I will generate Java classes for orders domain. I will use the generate command. Yes, and I have now 28 new files, and indeed we have here a new tree with Java source code, and all the code generated is here. And for example, I have my order parent class with attributes, etc., comments, the composite primary key here, and whatever we want. Now I can select another bundle, for example, the persistence bundle with MyBatis. I will generate everything with yes. Okay, I have now new files in MyBatis with this time repository for persistence, with mappers, with SQL requests here. And now I will use the bundle Liquibase, because Liquibase is used to manage the database, and I will generate all the files. And now in resources, I have the main Liquibase file, and here the first changelog with all create tables and all the constraints. For example, the foreign keys with an index for each foreign key. So now you have the choice. You can continue to write repetitive code manually with copy-paste burden and low productivity and a lot of risk regarding code quality, potential bugs, and with very often compliance deviations from standards. Or you can just let Telosys do it for you. Thank you for your attention.